I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call has been taken. First thing on the list is look for a motion to approve the agenda as printed if no one has any additions or corrections.
So moved.
Motion by Ashley. Seconded by Laura. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Approval of agenda is completed. Next thing on the list is approval of minutes from the February 17th, 2026 meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Approve the minutes from February 17th, 2026.
Motion by Commissioner Baird to approve the minutes. Is there a second? Second by Ashley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Minutes are approved. Is there anybody in the audience or online that wishes to speak to something that is not on the agenda? Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak to something that is not on the agenda? Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak on something that is not on the agenda? Hearing none, we will move to the first public hearing, and it concerns me, so I will remove myself, and Mr. Steichen will be in charge.
Smart guy. Okay, tonight before us, we have a public hearing. It's Joel Hildebrandt requests for an interim use permit amendment. The applicant is requesting to amend conditions of interim use permit number 745283 at 22263 Highway 10, Hawley, Minnesota, 56549 on parcel ID number 13.055.0010, Lot 1, Block 1 of the Gloryland subdivision, Section 11, Township 139N North, Range 45W, Hawley Township.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
We got a motion to open a public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McDougall. All in favor of opening the public hearing at 7:03 on March 17th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, public hearing is open, and Mr. Jacobson has the staff report on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this is an interim use permit amendment brought forward by Joel Hildebrandt. The property in question is just on the west side of Hawley, city limits of Hawley, and south side of Highway 10. The zoning is highway commercial. It is also zoned Hawley Municipal Airport Safety Zone C. All adjacent parcels are zoned similarly. It's currently a kennel, grooming, and grooming business, retail business as well. There's an interim use permit for this that was granted in 2015. There was also a variance to the minimum lot size and property line setbacks granted in 2015, though it looks like there is some encroachment that's occurring on the adjacent parcel. That parcel is also under the same ownership. So the applicant is requesting an amendment to its existing interim use permit for the kennel. The amendment would expand the animal limit from 25 to 80. So currently, the IUP condition reads as a maximum of 25 animals of any age may be housed on the site at any given time. And the applicant is requesting this amendment as just the business is expanding. And then there's also interest by several Clay County municipalities for the business to be their stray dog holding facility. They currently are that for the city of Hawley. As far as area adjacent uses, there are no residences. There's approximately 5 businesses within 500 feet of the property. And they would be looking at doing an expansion in the future. So it's my understanding is that a lot of the expansion would occur here to the north for this business. And these are just some site plans from the previous interim use permit, and then the expansion as well. We have not received any comments from the public regarding this request. We did get a comment from MnDOT just about the access and its current location with the Highway 10 dedicated site corner. That really doesn't have any bearing on the current interim use permit amendment request at all. And approval from Holly Township may be required as well. How this relates to our comprehensive plan, we do have a goal to encourage commercial and industrial development that is in harmony with the agricultural and rural character of Clay County. This request would be relevant to and generally consistent with this plan goal because it involves the expansion of existing commercial kennel on a property that's designated commercial, zoned highway commercial, and surrounded by commercial uses. So as proposed, it continues a highway-oriented commercial use in established commercial area rather than introducing a new commercial use into an agricultural setting. Any questions for me at all?
Mr. Jacobson, can you explain the DOT's, what you referenced on that sight line at the corner of the property for our benefit?
Yeah, so on the Gloryland subdivision plat, there was an area that was platted out on this intersection. Essentially, these are site corners. You can kind of see them on essentially every intersection along Highway 10 in Holly, and really just limiting kind of the development that could happen here, just with in terms of protecting this intersection and line of sight and things like that. And so what the DOT will likely be requiring is just moving this access to another location on the property. But that would likely happen regardless of, as nothing to do, really no relation to the request to increase the number of animals from 25 to 80 on this property.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Jacobson? Any other questions for Mr. Jacobson? Okay. Is the applicant here? If you would like, if you could come to the podium and state your name for record.
My name is Joel Hildebrandt. My wife Charlotte Toohey and I own the property at 22263 US Highway 10. And yes, we've been in existence. This is coming up on our 11th year. And we are, have been approached by several different municipalities within Clay County about operating their straight hold program, and which is one of the reasons for looking for the increased number. And the other reason is that we are talking about expanding our footprint a little bit. We have plenty of room, and just want to be able to, before we invest in building permits and drawings, that we are able to have the additional animals.
Hey, Mr. Hildebrandt, if you get the approval to expand to a larger number, is your operation going to be essentially the same, just a larger number, but no implications on water, sewer, pollution control type issues that you've already taken care of? Is that correct?
Correct. We currently have the approved parking plan, is already there. We say we've been in business coming up 11 years. We are not adding any bathrooms. So we have our own well, and we, in our opinion, and we are completely covered there. It's we have our current solid waste plan. Nothing changes except for potential building size. We still will be a boarding, grooming, and daycare facility.
Okay. Any
Mr.
other,
Mr. Chair, I have one question.
go ahead.
Going from 25 to 80, what do you do with all the animal waste? Do you have a plan for that?
Yes, we currently have contracted with we have weekly pickup by a local disposal company, and we will maintain that service. All our runs are built with P-rock, so the solid waste is all picked up and removed from the site. Nothing is composted on the site, nothing is left. There's no runoff, there's no fecal contamination potential that way.
One other thing.
Good.
You understand that you encroached onto the neighboring property which you also own?
Yes, and we have talked with Matt about, we've got two possibilities on that yes, we do own the lot that we've encroached on. That is a temporary fence, which can be moved, and we haven't 100% decided yet if we are going to move that fence to be back in compliance, or Matt has proposed, and we are looking into combining the two properties. And then that would
Solve that.
eliminate that variance violation.
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Hildebrandt, when you increase the dog number from 25 to possibly 80, does that create issues as far as confinement, health concerns, veterinary type services? How do you handle that?
I would rather have my partner handle that.
Okay, could you state your name?
My name is Charlotte Toohey. Joel and I are husband and wife. So can you clarify the question for me? I guess I'm not quite sure what you're asking.
Well, I'm not sure how you're set up inside, but when you increase the number of animals in an area, is there more potential for transmission of disease, and how do you handle that issue? And as far as veterinary services, do you contract with somebody for that as well?
So if we do stray holds for the cities, they will each have to contract for their own veterinary services. So that'll be on them to obtain that. With Hawley, we have an arrangement where once the stray time is up, we take care of it out of our own pocket, but the numbers have been small enough that we can budget for that. So if the animals are sick and need quarantine, then they should go right to the vet. They don't stay with us. We don't accept boarding guests that are not healthy if they're exhibiting any symptoms of illness. But part of our plan for an addition is to include an isolation room. So one of our rooms would be repurposed as an isolation space so that anything that might be suspicious or needs to be kept by itself, we have that ability to do that. In the addition, we're also putting in, so more space means more animals with more space. So rather than have 80 animals in this space that we have, we're expanding so that we can make room. And the addition, the intended plan for that are indoor, outdoor, private kennel suites. And those will be far more isolated than the setup that we have now. So it'll expand the personalities that we'll be able to house, because sometimes we have dogs that don't get along great with other dogs, and that becomes a management problem. If we have separate indoor-outdoor kennels, then there's no need to run them by other dogs or socialize with other dogs or anything like that. So, did that take care of your?
Yes, very good, thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
One more comment. You understand what you're asking for is to amend your 25 to 80 animal units, and if you do plan to expand, you still have to go get a building permit, just so you're aware of that.
Yes.
This
Just
is just, go ahead, Ashley.
just a quick question. So you're going from 25 to potentially 80. Are you thinking that you might need to increase staff, or are you guys able to handle that yourselves?
No, staff depends on how many guests we have. And so we have to double up on holidays and busy times and things like that. And, you know, we pitch in as needed also. So, yeah, it depends on how business grows.
This is just a follow-up on Commissioner Bear's question. The whole idea of this hearing is you're not going, if you don't get approval, obviously you're not going to spend any money on the process that would lead you to. So this is just like preliminary, get the approval and get the ball rolling if you so choose at that time. So I think we all understand that, whoever might be questioning that. So it's, any other questions of the applicant? Go ahead.
Do you folks live on the property there so that if there's an alarm, or does somebody there with that 24 hours with that many animals on site?
No, we have cameras, and then we have a night guy who stops and checks on everybody. And, but we can't legally live on property. So it's not zoned for residential.
So you're not close?
We're close, but, and we have staff in town, but we're not on the property with the residents.
Go ahead, Josh.
Question, Mr. Chair. What's the breakout you're gonna, if you have the 80 animals, is there a certain amount that you're gonna have for boarding and then so many of your spots you're gonna reserve for potential stray housing, or where'd you come up with the 80, I guess?
Yeah, that number is still dependent on which municipalities want our help. And I have an average number, and it's not very many with each one, so, you know, and it more cats than dogs usually for the stray holds, but that, we don't have a hard number on that until they get back to us with which agencies really want to use us for stray holds. Right now for Holly, like I said, it's maybe 8 a year that we take in, so. More of those are cats than dogs. Most of the dogs get claimed within 24 hours, and most of the cats get fixed and rehomed.
All right, that answers the question.
Well, if there's no other questions, we'll move on to, thank you for presenting. Is there anybody in the audience or online that would like to speak in favor or against this proposed text amendment, or interim use permit amendment, yeah. Anybody online or in the audience like to speak for or against? Third time, anybody in the audience or online would like to speak for or against this amendment to their interim use permit? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Ashley,
I'll second.
second by Josh. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So the public hearing is closed at 7:18 on March 17th. Okay. Now we're going to go through the findings of fact. The interim use will not be injurious to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the residents of Clay County.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, too. I also drafted findings, approval findings, and then denial if applicable. No need to read through these in their entirety, but you can read them on screen if you have any additions or subtractions from either of these, or if you find you're leaning more towards one than the other. Just a way to for conversation and discussion.
What's the commission's wish on the first finding of fact, as far as the increasing the kennel capacity from 25 to 80? I would say the existing commercial kennel grooming is not going to change its operation, just going to increase the number. There's no residents within the 500 feet, no comments opposed to the request. So to me, it looks like, for the finding of fact number one, it looks like I would be in approval. Any other comments on that?
I'll agree with that.
Okay. Number two, the interim use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of the other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted. Like as already stated, the surrounding area is commercial. There's no residences that are going to be affected. Noise and waste controls or conditions are still going to be met. Does everybody agree with that finding, its approval? Okay. Number three, the establishment of the interim use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses predominant in the area.
It's an existing kennel, Mr. Chair, so I don't see it affecting any of the area.
We agree? Okay. Number four, adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide utilities, access roads, drainage, and off-street parking and loading spaces as required by this ordinance.
Ample space on the property.
Agree? Okay. Number five, adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise and vibration, water pollution, and soil erosion, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs or other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result.
It's sitting in a commercial zoned area, so I don't see that being a problem.
Okay? Number six, the interim use will not create an excessive burden on current or anticipated public infrastructure or services that serve or are proposed to serve the area, including but not limited to parks, schools, public safety services, roads, water supply, sanitary sewers, and storm sewers, unless the county and the applicant establish a development agreement that determines how much impacts will be resolved. How such impacts.
Yeah, we'd approve that.
Okay. Number seven, interim use is allowed by this ordinance and conforms with any specific use standards established in Chapter 8 use regulations as may be applicable.
I agree with that.
Okay. Number eight, the interim use is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Clay County Comprehensive and Transportation Plan and any comprehensive plan of a township or city as may be applicable.
Approve of that too.
Okay. Okay, we went through the findings of facts. We do have, looks like 7 conditions that need to be met. I'm going to read these because I like to get it in record. Number 1, must meet all standards of Clay County Land Development Code and subdivision ordinances. Maximum of 80 animals of any age may be housed on the site at any given time. Number 3, prepare and submit a parking plan for a minimum of 10 parking spaces to the planning office for review and approval. Number 4, prepare and submit an operations plan, including waste and noise management, to the planning office for review and approval. Number 5, hours of operation at the site will be from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. unless there is an emergency situation. Number 6, permit terms expires upon the sale of the property. Also number 6, probably number 7, approval of septic system due to change in its use, approval of a septic system due to change in its use at the site. So if there's a change, it has to get approved. And the last one in red is parcel ID 13.005.0010 must be combined with parcel ID 13.005.0020. Does the applicant understand and agree to these conditions? If you come to the ahead.
And Mr. Chair, I could just add with regards to to condition 8 there, could also add an or,
That's what I was gonna add, Mr. Chair. It could be put, or move the existing kennel that's sitting on, that's pushed.
or, yeah, you could say, or remove the kennel encroachment.
It gives them the option.
Yep.
I would put that in there.
Do we need to give them a time frame on that?
You certainly could.
He kind of doesn't really know what this is very preliminary, so I don't know. I understand what you're saying, though, but,
I'd give them a year,
Amir?
combine them or move it.
Okay, and yes, we understand that. However, I would like the word kennel not being there, because it actually isn't a kennel that's encroaching. It's a play yard, an exercise yard. It is portable kennel panels and P-rock and railroad ties. But I mean, yeah, I just object to the word kennel.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, I think the reason for using the term kennel would be, and just generally in kennel referring to the entire operation, essentially. But yeah, play yard is,
So with the change in number 8, removing kennel and giving the option, that's also in agreement with you, Mr. Hildebrandt?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, what's the board's idea on this? Just tell me what you think of this, if this interim permit use should be issued or denied.
Move for approval.
Everybody agree to that? Commissioner Bear? No? You guys? Okay. Okay, someone want to make a motion to,
Sebastian already
oh,
did.
Sebastian did, okay. Is there a second to
I'll
that?
second that.
Is there any question on the, you got a first and second, is there any question? Okay, all in favor of getting the permit issued, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The permit is going to be issued. Thank you, Mr. Hildebrandt, for showing up and explaining what you're doing.
Our second public hearing of the evening is the Glendon Rod and Gun Club, request for a conditional use permit. The applicant is requesting to amend conditions of the conditional use permit number 598349 at 15258 60th Avenue South, Glendon, Minnesota, 56547 on parcel ID 25.034.2400, part of the northeast quarter, southwest quarter, and southeast quarter, northwest quarter, and southeast quarter, southwest quarter, section 34, township 139, N, range 46W, Riverton Township. Look for a motion to open the public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Ezra, seconded by Sebastian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public hearing is open. Take it away, Matt.
thank you, Mr. Chair. You almost have enough quarters in that legal description to take them to the arcade. All right, so this is a conditional use permit amendment for the Glendon Rod and Gun Club. This property is zoned agricultural general and resource protection aggregate. All immediately adjacent parcels are very similar to that. Property is currently a shooting range. There was a conditional use permit granted for a shooting range on this property in 2004. So they're looking at the club is looking for an amendment to this conditional use permit, and essentially this amendment would modify the existing hours of operation restriction to allow after-hour shooting only for law enforcement agencies conducting official training events. So currently, the CUP condition regarding shooting hours is hours of operation for shooting be limited from 8 a.m. to 1 hour prior to sunset Monday through Saturday, and then from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sundays. The requested amendment would be to add after-hour shooting is permitted by law enforcement agencies conducting official department-sanctioned events. Such activities require that all residents within 1/2 mile of the permitted location be notified no less than 24 hours in advance of the event start time by way of an established subscription-based email notification list. So there are approximately 3 residences within 1,500 feet of the range, 6 additional within 2,000 feet. There haven't not in the 20-plus years history of this shooting range, there has not been no history of complaints received by the Planning and Zoning Department. The club has received complaints recently just with a noticing miscommunication for after-hour training exercise. They've taken place approximately 20 years with few issues. Typically 1 to 2 times per year, and the trainings really go beyond 9 p.m. And so this was established prior to enactment of Minnesota Statute 87A, which happened in May 2005. So this is a legal non-conforming shooting range, and the statute protects its status so long as it remains in compliance with just noise and shooting range standards, which it has. Just some images of the range, the shooting areas, and then the bays as well. We have received a number of phone calls to our office about this request, but mainly from people who have questions. I don't think we've received any official comments or anything like that. We did get a letter of support did accompany this request from Clay County Sheriff Mark Empting. And then Riverton Township, they did reach out just for the conditional use permit application materials. They would likely require something as well. How this request relates to our comprehensive plan, we have a plan goal of community and resilience in our comprehensive plan. The goal is to maintain and improve community preparedness and emergency response capacity to ensure public health and safety. This amendment would be consistent with this goal as it supports emergency response readiness by allowing for limited after-hours training for law enforcement activities. We have an objective under this to promote cooperation and assistance to other emergency response agencies in Clay County. This amendment would support cooperation and assistance by allowing the facility to be used for department-sanctioned law enforcement training. And I know it's not just the sheriff's office that would use this. They do also partner with other law enforcement agencies and use this for trainings as well. We have an objective to continue to improve emergency preparedness through emergency preparedness plans, training, and facility enhancements. This proposed amendment would support that continued improvement in emergency preparedness by accommodating training opportunities at the existing facility. Any questions for me at all?
Does not appear to be any questions. Would the applicant please step forward and state your name for the record, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members, and Mr. Jacobson. My name's Tom Berglund. I'm here on behalf of the Glendon Rod and Gun Club. With me tonight is Troy DeYoung, our past president, and Jeff Aubley, our secretary. Our president, Bill Norris, and vice president, Randall Henriksen, were unable to attend. The Rod and Gun Club was established in 1947, and the current location was purchased in 2000. And as Matt noted, the CUP for the existing was put in place in 2004. The club facility has been used by law enforcement agencies to do this required training that they have to do since this facility's been in operation. Many of their activities occur during the daytime, which are consistent with our operating procedures. But from time to time, we do accommodate them when they have to complete their required nighttime training exercises. Historically, it was the agency that was responsible for notifying the neighbors. Typically, they'd go around, knock on doors prior to initiating those after-hours exercises. During a recent review of our conditional use permit, we discovered that after-hour shooting is prohibited, and the reason for this is understood. However, we would like to continue to allow those law enforcement partners to use our facility for those sanctioned training events. That's why we're here. Events must be official department training events. As an example, if a law enforcement member was a member of our club, they would not be able to come out there as an individual after hours and use that facility. It would only be for those official events. We do acknowledge that there was an event recently where an agency used the facility and did not notify the neighbors. Didn't notify us either. They just went out and did it. Based on that, we've created a notification system that these properties next to us can subscribe to, and will receive notification when such an event would occur. All property owners within 1 mile have received a letter in the mail already from us to sign up for that list. And if this amendment goes through, we'd send out one more letter just as a reminder. We appreciate the support from Mark Empting and other agencies, and we believe that providing our facility in support of our law enforcement partners is in the best interest of the community, and are happy to accommodate them in any way we can. Thank you for your time and consideration. Any questions for us?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Go ahead, Ezra.
How do you deem what would it be called? A law enforcement agency to come out there and do it? Do they notify you asking you to come out there, or how do you?
How would we know to send this notification?
Yeah.
So yes, part of the agreement that we have with them, and they've already all received this and acknowledged it, is we've asked them at least a week prior to their event to send an email to our club secretary as well as myself. And then we've built a notification system. It's kind of like, if you ever heard of Constant Contact, last emails, it's a different brand, but we've signed up for one of those services to send out these notifications.
So they would notify you saying, in a week from now, we'd like to use the facility after hours. You would send out an email blast to the residents within 1 mile of the
Turn
gun
around and
club.
send out that blast. Also, as part of that list, those law enforcement agencies are on that same list. And their requirement is that they have to receive that notice. That's their way of knowing that it went out. And they have to have a printed copy with it when they show up.
When they show up.
If they didn't get it, then they can assume it didn't go out. So,
Have you thought about, some people don't check their emails regularly. Have you thought about adding a cell phone text message blast out too?
that hasn't come up, but we would cross that road if we had to.
If not everybody signs up for the email, maybe that's.
There was actually a request that we put it on Facebook, but I am vehemently opposed to that, mostly from a security concern.
Yep.
We don't want the public and the whole world knowing that law enforcement is out in this area in the middle of the night and it's a limited access. And
Yep.
so we would double check that list, that the members on it are verified in that area and no one else.
Yep, that makes sense. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair and Mr. Berglund, when you say agencies, what agencies exactly would you expect to be used out there?
I have a list, but it is very restricted. Clay County Sheriff's Office, police departments from Glendon, Barnesville, Hawley, and Dilworth. The only ones that we've entertained.
And you said it probably would get utilized once or twice a year. Would all those agencies combine one night shoot?
They have coordinated events from time to time, but historically it's, Mark can maybe let us know, but some of these things they have to do every 2 to 4 years. So you might have Glendon doing it 1 year, Barnesville doing it another year, and they do cooperate and do them in conjunction at time to time too.
Now, I've been out there for various reasons in the past. This is small arms fire, right? And those berms should deaden the sound. The place has been improved amazing from when I first would go out there. So I'm guessing that with those berms being shooting within those, I call them berms. I don't know if that's
That's the correct term, and they are all NRA I don't know if certified is the right word, but they're built to NRA specifications.
But it's not only for safety, but it's for sound deadening, I'm guessing, as well.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Phil, would you please come up to the mic, give us your full name and your address?
I'm Phil Swan. I live at 5323 157th Street South, so I just live on the northeast corner of the gun range. Couple different things. Number one, we don't know, and our township clerk was out of the country, so it could be this reason, but we don't know if all the township supervisors were notified of this. I was notified because I'm a neighbor to here, so if we could be notified prior to this, but another township supervisor thought he did get notified of it, so it could just be that our clerk was out of the country, and so it didn't come to us the way it normally would. I'm very much in favor of this. I think it's a good idea to have this area for law enforcement to practice. I understand the intent right now is that it would be used once or twice a year. And I just would just ask that if there's a way that we can either make this a yearly conversation, so there's another hearing in a year. That way, if it gets excessive, neighbors can come in, bring that to your attention and have it reviewed again. Or if they can set a certain number, 4 days out of a year, they can have this extended, the extended hours. Just so that way neighbors have some control over it or are able to have their input.
Thank you.
Shannon?
Good evening, I'm Shannon Nowak, and I reside at 5445 157th Street South, Glendon, and I am just on the east side of the Rod and Gun, just down from Phil, my husband and I. We have been out here for 20-plus years, so we were here prior to the Rod and Gun. We are not necessarily against this extension, but we do ask that there's perimeters set within this. How many days, a year is this going to be allowed? What is the maximum time? We don't want to be in our homes at 10 o'clock at night listening to a bunch of gunfire going on. So I think it's a great thing, opportunity for law enforcement, but I have never received a notification in the whole time I've been there about night shooting or anything from the Rod and Gun. So I don't know how that was set up or if I've been missed, but I have never been notified. But even now, I haven't. So there has to be some better communication there. As things change, people change, and when the lines, areas are too gray, I think that just leaves up too much interpretation. And as neighbors, we've got to live through this. When it started, it was small, and it has grown over the years. And there are some weekends. I mean, it is very excessive to be outside, and you're listening to gunshot after gunshot after gunshot. So I think that's where some of the neighborhood frustration has come in, is just how much it's grown. And just, we want to be neighborly with that too. So.
I have a question for you. Have you received the letter that he
No.
referred to?
No,
Okay. If
Shannon Nowak. Shannon and Ken Nowak, yep.
anyone else have any?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience or online? Okay.
Hello, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. My name is Mark Empton. I'm Clay County Sheriff, and as you are aware, I am supportive of this, but I just want to assist in clarifying some questions that were brought up here tonight. As far as the times would go, generally we're not going to go past 9 o'clock. We can set our trainings up for that, either between 6 to 9 or 7 to 10. But generally, we're shooting for about 2 hours, and then we take that last hour to clean our firearms and things like that, so we would not be going past 9 p.m. And then the other thing would be is how often we would use it. So we have to do this once a year, and it's called a low light cold weather shoot. For example, we just did this low light cold weather shoot last month, and we had it scheduled for 4 nights for that week. And the reason why it's 4 nights for that week is we're trying to get about 45 people through it, and right now we have limited space. This could shorten that up just because there's a lot of space out there now. So we could have larger group shooting, but we also want to make sure that they're not so big that we're jeopardizing our safety either. We as well want to make sure that we are good neighbors and be respectful for the community out there. So we're willing to say 9 o'clock and we would be done shooting. The shooting would not go in the early hours. It wouldn't be midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. It would most definitely be done by 9 p.m. And with that, I would yield to the commission or anybody in the audience for questions.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Do you coordinate with other law enforcement agencies when you're going out there to do low, cold night shooting?
So we send out our yearly training calendar to the other agencies. Generally, they have their own firearms instructors, so those agencies use their own. They will collaborate between the, I believe Glendon and Barnesville, maybe even Dilworth is using it now. They will collaborate between each other, but they get our training calendar. If they want to join in, they can join in at any time.
Mr. Chair and Sheriff Empting, I can hear the ones, I'm guessing you shoot off of 15th Avenue.
That's correct.
I was fortunate enough to go out one time and shoot with the Dilworth Police, just for their demonstration, understand what their money is being spent on. It's a comforting fact knowing that you guys are maintaining your yearly accreditation, or however often it is, I guess. But I guess to me, after 9 o'clock would be a reasonable time to be done. So I understand the frustration from Ms. Novak, and I guess that would just have to be noted in the conditions.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, like I said earlier, we do want to be good neighbors and good partners in this as well, and we don't want to, this is a community we serve, so we want to make sure that we have our citizens that can reach out to us if it's getting to be too late or whatever. We can work with them. We're more than willing to do that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience or online that wishes to speak for or against? Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak for or against? Is there anyone else in the audience or online that wishes to speak for or against this cup? Hearing none, look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Ashley,
Second.
seconded by Sebastian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Public hearing is closed. To find my. Now for the findings of fact, the conditional use will not be injurious to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the residents of Clay County. And an approval finding is the amendment meets this standard because it is narrowly limited to law enforcement training events rather than a general expansion of shooting hours. The record indicates the activity is infrequent, typically occurs only 1 or 2 times per year, and rarely extends into the late evening. The request also supports public safety training needs and does not authorize general public after-hours shooting. And a denial finding would state that the standard is not met If the commission finds that after-hours firearm discharge would create safety concerns or general welfare impacts for nearby residents, particularly during nighttime training conditions, or if the commission is not satisfied that the proposed limitation to official training events is sufficient to protect surrounding properties. I would say that it will not be injurious to the health, safety, and morals. They need to train. They serve 24/7. They need to be able to train in adverse conditions as needed.
Yep.
The conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted. An approval finding would state that this amendment meets the standard because the requested activity is limited in scope and frequency. The site is an existing range already operating under a conditional use permit, and the proposed 24-hour advance notice requirement is intended to reduce impacts on nearby residents. The record also indicates very limited complaint history, suggesting that the use has not generally interfered with neighboring property enjoyment when advance notice is provided.
Mr. Chair, I also approve with that.
Okay. The establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses predominant in the area. An approval finding would say that this amendment meets the standard because it does not expand the use area, add structures, or change the principal use of the property. Instead, it amends one operational condition on an existing use that has already been established and functioning on the site. The request does not appear to materially alter surrounding development patterns.
Mr. Chair, I'd approve that finding.
Thank you. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide utilities, access roads, drainage, and off-street parking and loading spaces as required by the ordinance. The amendment meets the standard because it does not involve any new construction, site expansion, or other changes that would require additional utilities, road improvements, drainage changes, parking and loading improvements. Existing site conditions and prior permit requirements remain in place.
Mr. Chair, I'd approve that.
Adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, water pollution, and soil erosion, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs or other lights in such manner that no disturbance to surrounding properties will result.
Mr. Chair, I'll approve. It's just existing shooting range, just very infrequent, used specifically by law enforcement, training events after hours, after normal hours.
The conditional use will not create an excessive burden on current or anticipated public infrastructure or services that serve or are proposed to serve the area, including but not limited to parks, schools, public safety services, roads, water supply, sanitary sewers, storm sewers, unless the county and the applicant establish a development agreement that determines how such impacts will be resolved.
I'd agree with the approval finding on this one.
Thank you, Ashley. The conditional use is allowed by this ordinance and conforms with any specific use standards established in Chapter 8, use regulations as may be applicable.
Mr. Chair, I'll approve. The amendment meets standards for a standard shooting range.
The conditional use is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Clay County Comprehensive and Transportation Plan and any comprehensive plan of township or city as may be applicable.
I agree with that.
Okay. We have
Mr. Chair, I have one question for the applicant before we go through the conditions. Could the applicant come up to the mic? Did you state that you are getting an email blast for a half mile of the residence or a mile?
We sent notification out to 1 mile, and those people would be allowed to sign up, but the CUP request was for a half mile. And I'm open, 1 mile's fine too, if that was the
Wanted
determination.
clarification on that. Thank you.
Staff has the following 9 conditions. Any firing range on the site must be designed, constructed, and certified as meeting NRA firearms range specifications. That hasn't changed, and that condition is already currently being met.
Yeah, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I should just note that these conditions are all the same as the current conditional use permit. Conditional use permits being a little bit different than interim use permits isn't that they are a land right. The request was specific to the shooting hours. And so when looking at this, the only changes here would be related to the shooting hours and then who would be allowed to shoot during those after hours. All the other conditions are the exact same as the current.
So, Mr. Chair, the items in white are in our existing CUP.
Yep.
The red appears to be the change.
Yep. Just want to make that clarification.
Okay, well, then, so we need to look at the changes in condition 2 and 3 and not specifically all of them. After-hour shooting is permitted by law enforcement agencies conducting official department-sanctioned events. Such activities require that all residents, and Ezra, do we want to change that to 1 mile?
I think a half mile is fine. I mean, he sent the letter out to a mile so they can sign up if they want to. But we're talking 26,000 feet, 2,600 feet, and I think that'd get most of the residents there on that circle that is in our report. So I think a half mile is fine.
And Mr. Chair and Commissioner, that was the intent, was with the email or the printed notification was to notify as many people as we thought.
Yeah, and they can, I mean, they can still sign up and they'd be on the email blast, so. I think a half mile is still fine.
Okay. With no less than 24 hours in advance of the event start time by way of an established subscription-based email notification list. And the other change is local law enforcement, because it's a time change. Only local law enforcement agencies are exempt from this condition for training purposes. So, as he said, it's not, you and I can't go out there, but Sheriff Empting, other local agencies can.
With proper notification.
Mr. Chair, I think based on some of the feedback we've gotten from residents, we need to consider putting a time limit on how late these exercises are allowed to go. That should be written into the permits if 9 o'clock is reasonable. If the training can be done in that amount of time, I guess that's what I would propose.
No shooting after 9?
No shooting after 9.
I'd make that clarification, so.
Yes, yeah, they're.
If they are there cleaning their guns, they can stay there later, but no
Active
firing after 9.
9 o'clock. Yes, I would add that.
I think that would go into condition 2 there, Matt, yeah. I guess you're right.
I would, and
Or would
Sheriff
you put that?
Empting specifically spoke to that time.
And Mr. Chair, I think not to cut any agency short on their chances, just the 1 or 2 times a year might not be sufficient enough for your needs. And all these conditions can be changed by coming back in the future if there is some issue. But I would personally like to see it extended to more than 1 or 2 times a year. I don't think it addresses.
I don't think any of the conditions address how many times.
No, but I think, according now from Ms. Novak's, I mean, obviously you're not going to use it weekly or monthly, but I think to protect you guys and if things do come up, to have the option of going out there a little bit more than once or twice a year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and Mr. Chair and Commissioner Steichen, currently there is not a limit in the number of times that they can go out. It's currently would be just, if as proposed, would just be restricted to 9 p.m. and earlier for firearm discharge. It just, on average, I guess, it seemed like they had only been using it 1 to 2 times a year.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Steichen, I'd say that's probably been a historical average, and I would consider an event like Mr. Empting said, if it's 3 nights for one training, I would consider that one event. But
Well, I think we should address that a little bit more specific, especially Ms. Nowak addressed that in her comments. To me, 4 nights is 4 events. It's my opinion, so that in itself, I mean, if you just say 1 to 2, it's, people like defined parameters for events, and not saying you have to define it to a certain number, but what's your feeling on just leaving it out and let them police themselves, control how they do it themselves and then deal with it after the fact? Or
if it ever became excessive, we would certainly work with neighbors and planning and zoning too. But I don't think it's been an issue in the past, and it should continue as it.
Well,
I expect future use to be consistent with past use.
I agree. I don't believe that we should put a number on it. That hasn't been an issue. What was an issue, though, was recently an event that was not, there was no notification. Nobody knew about it.
And Mr. Chair, we fully acknowledge that occurred, and
I appreciate
taking steps to.
saying that.
I also don't think we should limit the number of days that it can get used after hours, just because if you're dealing with the sheriff's department, the city of Holly, Dilworth, Glendon, and they all pick different days, and then you're limiting which one. Say we give them 10 days, and then Holly didn't get it done in those 10 days. If sheriff's department used 4, Dilworth uses 3, and then one town's left out, they didn't get in on time. I don't think we need to limit how many days it gets used. I think they will limit themselves by knowing not to go out there with these agencies.
And it might be 4 times one year and 1 time the next year, it's kind of a law of averages.
I'm fine with that.
So while you're up there, do you acknowledge or, okay to work with the conditions, and then we adjusted the conditions of the?
Yeah, we're good with all those.
Okay, well, seeing no other questions or comments, look for a motion to approve or deny the modified conditional use permit.
I'll make the motion to accept or approve, I guess, the modifications to the conditional use permit.
Motion by Ashley to approve the cup with conditions 1 through 9. And a second by Laura. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Conditional use permit is granted.
Thank you all for your time.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Any unfinished business, Matt?
No unfinished business, Mr. Chair.
Okay, under new business, we have the groundwater report.
Yeah, this is just something that came up I get a, just update from, just let the legislature and what's been going on in the legislature. And recently, the legislature did receive this report just highlighting areas in the state of Minnesota that their DNR is citing as groundwater areas of concern. And what piqued my interest about it a little bit is because Clay County was mentioned a couple of times in here. One being the Buffalo Aquifer as being one of the 17 areas of groundwater concern. And the reason for this, I think it's very similar to other aquifers that supply water either for irrigation or, in this case, irrigation drinking water. It supplies our largest population center in the county, with on average about 20% of the groundwater every year, and then 80% during drought years as well. So one of the things about this aquifer is that because of the clay that overlays it, a lot of the rainfall does not end up in the aquifer. So it's a lot of old water. It doesn't recharge quickly. So once it gets pumped out, there's definitely a deficit for that. The DNR is the entity that regulates groundwater in our area, but we also do with our resource protection, wellhead protection zoning district, just making sure that that aquifer is protected to some extent, and that we can ensure that it is viable for future generations. So it's just interesting to note that that was getting some attention at the state level. The other one just being our beach ridges that was mentioned as well. Specifically, the beach ridge aquifers are what have, kind of along the, let's see if we can find them here. Yes, this dark blue here on this map. So here's the Buffalo Aquifer here. Didn't just notice they do have observation wells in the Buffalo Aquifer, noting a downward trend in those observation wells. The Beach Ridge aquifers, again, another area where we have a lot of sand and gravel. Some development with it that requires groundwater withdrawals. Mainly, though, for the Beach Ridge aquifers is more of a their influence on the calcareous fens that are protected in state statute. They have a specific statute for those. And the reason why those fens exist is because of these beach ridge aquifers. So that was just another area of note there to point out. I don't know if anyone has any questions on this. Certainly something, as these things come up and as they from around the state, and if they relate to our county, I'm happy to bring them to the Planning Commission. But yeah, just thought it was interesting information.
And I'm part of we're redoing the wellhead protection area. I'm on that group, and we have also recognized that specifically the South Buffalo Aquifer needs some special attention to make sure it keeps the water quality what it has. There is some potential for growth and other things that are happening that could negatively affect the water in there.
Yeah, a similar aquifer in the United States would be like the Ogallala Aquifer in Kansas. It's very similar in that it's a large aquifer, but the area doesn't get a lot of rain anyway, and the rainwater that does hit the ground does not get to the aquifer. And so really important for irrigation, agricultural irrigation, and maintaining that. Very, very similar to the Buffalo Aquifer as well.
Okay, and the other item of new business was we have Do you handle that, or do I handle it?
Yes, I certainly can. Yeah, we have received an interest in someone who is interested in joining the Planning Commission. He was going to be here tonight, but unfortunately he is ill, so was not able to attend. But he did message me and said he still very much would like to be considered for this. His name is Jeff Winter, and he is a lifelong Clay County resident of 65 plus years, grew up in Clay County, has lived in rural Clay County his whole life, worked for American Crystal Sugar, and then also was on the Moreland Town Board for 18 years as well. And so would be looking essentially for a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners to appoint him to a 3-year term on the Planning Commission. And he would be serving in a rural representative capacity. Currently, we're down 2 spots on the Planning Commission.
He would be essentially, would fill the spot that Ezra had then?
Ezra or Kurt.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
Is anyone opposed to Mr. Winter? Okay, then I look for somebody to recommend that nomination proceed to the County Board of Commissioners.
I'll make the recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Sebastian,
Second.
seconded by Josh, that Mr. Winter gets recommended to the board. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We would like you to recommend him to the board. And anything else? Okay, pending business, our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 21st. Correct?
Correct.
Hearing nothing else, look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Ashley. Second. Seconded by Laura. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Meeting is closed.